Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy practitioner. And it's come to my attention through some people who've asked me um, that maybe some people are interested in having an experience like perhaps I have had. I do allude in my podcasts to God and the Creator, and I also command in the name of Jesus Christ. And I never really get specific about what that's about, but um, I do it because it is my experience. I do live entirely by my relationship with the Creator in a non-religious sense. Um, and to me, it is parallel with natural law. So one doesn't have to do it that way if one doesn't want to. You can choose your own experience of the Creator and use that. My experience just happens to be that God, the word God works for me, the Creator works for me, and Jesus Christ does also work for me, I've noticed. Not, he doesn't work for me, but it works for me to call upon that either collective thought form that has been created by everyone who in the world who has used it, or if in fact he was once at one time a true human, he represents natural law being used by a human being. Um, but the thing is, what I want to say, in alignment with the Kabbalion, um, that it could it could be considered simply the all. The creator could be simply considered the all. Um, and my experience of it could actually be that the all is mind, that the universe is mental. It could be that um, uh, I am in she and she is in me. The all is in all and all is in the all. Could be that I am one with universal life energy. It flows through me now. I feel it. All of these things are true, and they're all parallel. They're all the same in my experience. Yes, they may be from different points of view or different countries or different creeds. Some is Chinese, ancient Chinese medicine, ancient Chinese Taoism. Um, someone is from the royalty from Russia. One is from different different places. I'm not going to get specific about where I got my point of view from, you know. Yes, perhaps it's hermeticism as well, maybe. I don't know. Um, I mean, the Kabbalion claims to be hermetic, but I'm not really sure that when I look at the other hermetic texts, um, I'm not sure if it's hermetic or not, really. Could have just been the claim of the three initiates. Regardless, it's still part of my experience. I do live 100% by natural law and prayer. And so, someone asked me recently, like how to have the same kind of experience that I've had. And there are some requirements, I have to say. You can't just snap your fingers and be there. Um, So I will say the first thing that's required is ego deflation at depth. I have had ego deflation at depth. And what does that actually mean? I still have an ego. It isn't dead. My ego hasn't been beaten to death. I still have a personality. It could be described as my astrology, I suppose. Um, but I have taken a back seat in the authorship of my life, and I use spiritual principles to determine my actions, and I try to stay um, out of the driver's seat when it comes to that because I had to come to a point with myself where I had to admit that of myself, my solutions to my life's problems were problems yet to come. Every solution I came up with caused more problems for myself and other people. Um, Even if I was following what the world told me to do, work hard to get ahead or whatever, somehow I would skew that in such a way that it would cause problems for me and other people. Maybe I wouldn't be able to follow through with a commitment, or maybe I would work too hard on one thing and not hard enough on something else, or um, I would put my energy into something that would fail. So eventually I got to a point where I just saw that every solution that I had ever attempted or ever, um, basically everything I attempted to do caused problems for me and others. And so I just had to throw my hands in the air and say, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. And that was a very potent place for me to then um, I did some more clearing work at that point, which I'll get into probably eventually. Um, but then I tried to rectify the mistakes I'd made in the past. I made a lot of reparations. I paid back a lot of debt that I owed. Um, I acknowledged promises I hadn't kept. I tried to keep those promises. I went to individuals and apologized for bad behavior, and um, all this is ego deflation at depth. Why? Because, I had to admit I was wrong. I had to admit that I didn't know what I was doing. I had to admit that I had failed. Each time I did that, a little bit more of the ego chipped away. And what it did was it allowed my channel to the higher power to be cleaned out, kind of like what's that stuff? I'm not going to think of it right now. Am I? That commercial for the plumbing stuff, I can't remember what it's called. Drano. You know how the Drano commercial where like there's all this clogged, gross stuff on the sides of the pipes, and then you pour the Drano down and it just like flushes out all the crap. That's kind of what doing that process did, is it flushed out all the crap that had been built up, all the me, I'm right, all the I know everything, I know all the answers, um, all the broken promises, the failures to complete things I promised got flushed away, and it opened up this channel to the creator. And over a long period of time, I started noticing that my intuition was correct and I could follow my intuition. Um, I could pray for an answer about something that I was baffled by, and then if I would be patient and wait, I would get a sign of which way to go. And I could check out those signs with other people who had walked this path before me, and they knew, whether the sign was real or whether it was in my imagination. Um, so I got help but there's a lot of patience required. Like, I noticed that, I could ask for an answer and then I might have to wait like a month to get an answer, or I might have to wait, a few weeks or something. I couldn't ask for help and then expect to get an answer in 5 minutes unless like I was on the railroad tracks and the train was coming. Then I would get help right away. But um, so I had to develop patience, which is completely in the opposite of my uh, makeup. I have the inner volcano, and when it erupts, I want my way and I want it now. But the thing I learned was the creator doesn't just help me. When I pray for help, I am not the only one who receives help. Other people receive help also. So that's why I have to be patient because I don't necessarily get my prayers answered immediately because others will be helped too. The Creator is very efficient in its timing. The all, the all is very efficient in its timing and in its use of um, resources. It helps many at once, not just me. So I had to develop patience and I had to develop fortitude and tenacity and not just change my mind when, I wasn't getting my way right away. Just stay the course. I had to, develop staying the course, like the tortoise and the hare. I had to develop um, step by step. I had been the hare my whole life, and now I had to learn how to be the tortoise because the tortoise wins the race. The hare, bounces around and changes its mind and tries something else and jumps over the fence and runs ahead and then runs back and gets distracted. Meanwhile, the tortoise is just dump-de-dump moving along and he wins the race. So I had to learn how to act like that. And that's also ego deflation. That's another part of ego deflation because a sign of, self-centeredness is me demanding my way and right now, instant gratification. So a lot of these things are being cultivated in our culture. Like we're being basically manipulated through mind control to become extremely impatient, demanding, self-righteous, um, know-it-alls. So, in other words, ego inflation at depth is at work in our society right now. For what? Well, we're a lot easier to control when we're like that. Um, we don't get along well with each other. I don't know if you guys have noticed how people drive these days, but road rage abound. There's nothing I can't stand more than driving 75 miles an hour, like 1 foot in front, behind the car in front of me, and 1 foot in front of the car behind me in like a, dense um, 5 lanes of traffic. But that is completely um, ego inflation at depth. Remember when I learned how to drive, it was 1 car length per 10 miles per hour, space in the front and the back. You never see that anymore. And then you wonder why there's an accident, right? But I mean, it's just so self-centered. It's just such self-centered behavior. It's like presuming that everything's going to be fine, hurtling down the road at 75 miles an hour. It doesn't leave any space for um, serendipity or things happening. You don't have any time to prepare. So, the old ways, the old ways of doing things is how I operate. So, I am going to get into this in more detail, but it is also in alignment with the Kabbalion. It really is. And I will try to draw your attention to that. Um, and this is for anyone who, is dissatisfied with the way things are going. I mean, it would be very easy right now to decide that you want to give up what we were taught, give up living the way we were taught to live, um, and rely on the greater pattern behind everything. The system that we're living in is being purposefully dismantled by the globalists through their order followers so that they can create chaos, so that they can bring in their new world order. That's what they're doing systematically. So if let's say you believe in the political system, let's say you were raised to believe in the political system, it's gone. It's just political theater now. And um, that could cause you to have ego deflation at depth if you truly were someone who believed in it as an answer, like believed that you have a right to vote and that that's a gift bestowed on you. That's a total scam. I mean, under natural law, for example, um, there is no delegated authority. You can't delegate your own authority to someone else, which totally annihilates any idea that democracy is an actual freedom recipe. It's not. Democracy is a recipe for socialism. It's a total lie that you know I can represent myself in a small group, a small tribe. Um, but in a larger group, I can't expect to quote unquote vote for someone to represent me and think that that person is going to be able to represent me. They're violating natural law by even saying that they can do that. Um, I'll try to find, where how to prove that um, by the laws in the Kabbalion. But I think, it could be the law of correspondence, really. As above, so below. As that's a direct connection. And believing I can vote for someone who's going to represent me is that there is no direct connection. So um, it's a total lie. It sounds good on paper, and we believe in it because we've been told that it works, but it actually doesn't work. The only thing that works is representing yourself. You yourself showing up and representing yourself. But if you represent, if someone tells you that you represent them, there will be a disconnection that will occur between you and them as you move into the group of people that were elected to represent the other group. Suddenly they will become another group, and you will suddenly be representing whatever mind control message is being pushed. So that's one way you could have ego deflation at depth is you could realize that democracy has always been a recipe for socialism, and you've been living a lie your whole life. That could cause ego deflation at depth, realizing that. Um, Anything else, believing in society, that society or civilization is a good thing. You know, it's not good. It's a, it's a fake. It's fake. And it's blotting out nature, which is our birthright and we're the source of our power. So really, it would be pretty easy to have ego deflation at depth right now. I mean, um, if you were trying to live by morality and you see how much immorality there is out there, uh, it would be easy. If you didn't have access to the source and understand what's going on, it would be easy to, just be totally confused and lost by what you see in institutions that supposedly are honest. And then you go and get involved in the institution. I was at a hospital for the last 2 weeks with a family member who was ill. I literally could not believe how much dishonesty I was subjected to from the doctors and the nurses through that 2 weeks. And then at the end of it now, they've stolen his property. They stole his, he passed away and they stole his ID cards and his credit cards and everything. And all his expensive clothing has been stolen. Also, I mean, it's incredible how, and people just get away with this nowadays. It's just how things are. They lie, they lie to your face and then they steal from you behind your back. And that is the norm. But if you don't want to live like that, see, I couldn't live like that. No, I couldn't. I couldn't. I would be too confused all the time and I would be what do they say about lying? The problem with lying is that you can't remember who you told what lie to. I'm like that, okay? So, it'd be easier for me to just throw my hands in the air and say, I don't know, and I want to live by spiritual principles. I want to live by the pattern that is behind the society. See, this pattern that is behind my head is sacred geometric pattern that's in nature, that's like a basic pattern of nature. That's the pattern I want to live by, not what the system says. The system, the system says your credit score is important. In nature, there is no credit. Well, but how would I buy a house or a car? Well, if I'm in alignment with natural law and I'm in alignment with spiritual principles, which are the same thing, um, I will be connected to the right situation where I can buy a house or whatever I need. It will just work out. But I have to, um, like I said, I have to have that ego deflation at depth. I don't personally believe in being a co-creator with the creator. I don't look at it like that. I look at myself as a servant of the creator. I work for the creator. I'm not I'm not working side by side with the creator. That's just how I do it. And you see, the thing is in order for me to gain access to unlimited power, I have to have a few minutes where I recognize my lack of power, that I have no power. Yeah, I may have some power, but I don't have the power to finish what I start, let's say. So therefore, my power doesn't fill the bill, so I have to admit that I have no power. So then once I admit to myself that I have no power, no power to make sure that I'm homed my whole life or to get ahead or to have friends or to have the right career. I have no power. Once I admit that, I do feel scared. It's a scary experience, kind of like falling through space, but it is a recipe for access to unlimited power, which is what I want and what it is what I currently have. I have access to unlimited power. I mean, I live in a magical world right now, even while things are totally upside down. Um, I pray for things, for help with different things. I get help right away when I need it. And sometimes a prayer might be answered in 3 months, depending on all that has to go into the receipt of that prayer being answered. And I basically do not much. I mean, I have intuitive thoughts about things and I try to pursue them and I try to see if it's the right thing or not what I'm doing. Using different techniques. I use those rods like I've told you about this. Let me see if I can find them right now. Yep. I use these dowsing rods for simple yes or no questions and complex yes or no questions too. You know, um, I use them a lot. These are an enhancement of my intuition. That's what these are. Um, I also do chakra meditation, ground myself on a daily basis, and I work on my heart. I work on energy, like I work on gathering lots of energy in myself, um, getting quiet mentally. But that's another topic for another time. That's for after the ego deflation at depth experience. So, ego deflation at depth means that I truly experience the all. The all is in all, and all is in the all. And I mean, if you think about it in terms of the ego, it's basically saying that my ego doesn't matter. Like it's like I'm a little wave in the ocean, just like all the other little waves. And we all make up the ocean, and the ocean makes up us. But there's nothing really differentiating me and making me special. And by admitting that, I become much more special. But I can't take credit for that. I can't take credit for the things that God does through me. I can just um, be grateful for that experience. So I'll leave you with that, and we'll talk more about this next time. And I'm gonna dig up some literature to support me. Um, I don't know if there's like one book I can read, but I do have access to a bunch of different things that are not from this era. They're from the past. But they won't be, I'm gonna, you know how I feel about the Bible. I'm not a Bible person. So I'll find things that are not necessarily Bible supported. Because the reason, I mean, my thing about the Bible, whatever, I'm glad if it works for you, great. I really don't care. Okay. Whatever works for you. For me, it doesn't work because it was written by people and it was adjusted to to give certain ideas more power so that the king could infuse his agenda into people's minds. And the Old Testament, I mean, that really is a scary book. I don't know who that God is, honestly. To me, it's definitely not the creator. It's like some alien or reptilian or super negative energy that I really want nothing to do with. So, again, I'm going to be showing how to live by these principles without that book, but with other books and other ideas. So until next time.